Wednesday night, no remorse. We are back and just chuckling at Jamie does not dance, apparently. I don't know what that's all about, but it was something we're going to do for one of the people that comes and hangs out with us every week. And we've promised something from the beginning in the show. And I'm going to just blame that guy over there.
I got some ideas. I got to run it past him though. I don't want to put him in shock or nothing.
Don't want to just put him up to something he's not ready for. But yeah, right. So we need to get that put together. Anyway, we're back. Thank you again, guys, for coming out. And I know there's a lot of different stuff going on tonight, including 15 minutes of lane debates starting tonight. So if you haven't voted or you have been voting and you want to make sure you're voting for the right person or check in and see what's going on there, go back and check that out. If you're sitting in here and you're not catching the end of that, watch that replay, because I think there's a great reason to get a good display of those different people and their personalities kind of head to head in a big debate setting. So fun one. Any other news, guys? We just had our last clutch of the year. We went live for a real short time on our pied stuff. Last one is definitely going to hatch here in 24 for us, but should be starting to fill the incubator again fairly quickly. We had a couple building real strong to the end of the year and paired up. So, but yeah, 24 is rounded out. You had what, Jay?
I got a little news too. Kind of goes along with when we get into Charlie's commercial. So, really smart guy and a doctor over on Fat Man Nation. Get over and watch that. They announced, I think, 4 new tests tonight, and then some upcoming as well that they're doing validation on. So pretty exciting. Go over and watch it. Not going to tell you what they are. Go check it out.
Sweet. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Stuff that's probably been kind of teased out there, and finally they just said, yeah, we're going to do them. Gotcha.
I wonder if one of them is Monsoon.
I don't know. That one's kind of a conglomerate. Yeah, like 4 different testers working on that.
Yeah, that one's in the works, but yeah, it didn't sound like that's a release. So.
Okay.
I'm
going to watch
That's cool, though.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Right. And then we always have the Whiskey Bomb Network, which our guest tonight is part of on his news show. So we will touch on that. It's a great news show, by the way. But they're on just prior to us every Wednesday night with balls and things. Tonight they had on Billy and Craig from Bash Coder. So good episode. We watched as much of that as we can before we got to get stuff set up for this, and we jump back over here. But if you did not catch that one, go back and watch it too, guys. Mm-hmm. Another announcement. Thank you, everyone on the replay team that went back and watched everything. We did finally hit our watch hours. Did that in a pretty short time period, actually. Only on episode 38, and we hit our watch hours, so that's great. That's one check box off of there. Still a little bit short on subscribers. If you do know some people that are maybe just a casual interest, anything like that, throw it out to them. Maybe have them jump over, subscribe. If they don't come back and watch or don't like it, that's okay. But at least they'll have a chance to check it out and see if they can stay joined in. But yeah, that's about it for the news for the week. We didn't have a heck of a lot going on other than fighting head colds.
I got a hatchling gecko rack from Serpents.
Oh, yes, you
exciting.
did. Yeah, we threw that together and stacked that next to your other gecko rack. So we're going to have geckos shortly. Yeah. It'll be definitely fun to watch that progress, because I know very little to nothing about the leopard geckos. Very base knowledge of that. Jamie's going to be put in charge of all of that. So it'll be fun to watch her learn too. Be a good time.
I'm going to have to get a screaming frog rack.
Oh, yeah,
screaming frogs on Jay's side. Everybody needs screaming frogs, but yeah.
Should we see who's here?
Yeah, let's jump through the audience to see who's here tonight. We got Dustin and Melissa. Hey guys, locals here. Got another couple snakes from us. Actually, kind of a nice pair we put up for auction, and they grabbed them up. Said we'll take those. So get to meet with them and hand those off this weekend. But super nice couple starting into this. Appreciate those guys. Sammy, Mr. 2%, give him the 1% and the 2%. He's got the 1-2 combo. He's still fighting it out in the 50 minutes of lane. Go vote for that gentleman. If you're wondering who to vote for, that's a great choice right there. Yep. James Perry, Silent Assassin, that carries over from Whiskey Bomb. I'm just going to use a lot of their nicknames because it sticks in your brain and it's easier. Appreciate you, James. Thanks for coming out, man. We got Jason, another contestant on the 15 minutes of lame. I don't know where he's sitting, if he's still right around that low percent. Nah, I think he's doing pretty good too. Anyway, vote for Jason.
2%.
Is he? 2% crew too?
I
I thought they were close last week, but yeah. We got Kike down there in Florida. Appreciate you. Homestead area. Kike is one of the biggest supporters in the game for sure. Appreciate Kike jumping around, spreading all the links, putting all the stuff in the chat. So thank you, sir. Got Candy, Corey, and Dustin. Sorry about that. I'm going to have those from time to time tonight. This head cold will not go away. Appreciate you guys coming out too. Fantastic family startup. Got the dead man, Brother Vance, in the building. Every week, Vance is out here supporting, and we definitely appreciate that, Vance. Thanks for coming out, man. We got Connie. There's Mom looking after her kids. She's going to enjoy this one. We got a Bradley Cooper lookalike tonight, so get ready, Connie. Get the smile on. But he'll be out shortly. Tim and Connie, combo pair. They're sitting on the couch watching, probably drinking a, I don't know, old fashioned or something. Maybe something. Brandy mix. Yeah, something. Appreciate it, guys. James B., that's the back alley artist. One of these shows, I'm just going to put one of his paintings in the background, see if anybody notices. But appreciate you, James. Thanks for coming out, man. Brave is out every week, too. Glad to see him stopping out here. And in his avatar, or I guess, what would you call that? Profile pic. It's his girlfriend, too. Maybe she stopped out tonight. Saw that announced last night on Ken's show, so kind of good to see them jumping around. Got Don D, and we all know what time that is. Just got to get this going for him. I'm getting better about having that ready for you, Don. But appreciate you as always, sir. Thanks for coming out.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. Mark Middlestead, all the way out in the Pacific Northwest. The rat bastard is coming up fast, man. He just talked about a little batch he got shipped in there, and looking forward to what he does with that group too. So good to see you, Mark. Appreciate you coming out, man. Replay fanatic right there for a while. He was hitting them. Eddie, Static Morphs, southeast corner of the state from us. Opposite corner of the state, but close to our hearts, right? Oh, thanks, Eddie. Appreciate you coming out. And there's the guy we owe that song to, Jason. Jason on Jason hate crime going on, leaving his song out of the startup. But appreciate you, Jason Opel. All right. We got to be getting down there. That looked about like the right number, yeah?
I think so.
Okay, so that gives us just a couple minutes to do our affiliate stuff. So let me swap this over, and we will go this route, and we'll bring these guys up because they're important to us. They were brave and stepped out onto that plank and said, we will go in on this and do the Forge Coin thing. Charlie, shedtesting.com. He will take Forge Coin for tests. He said, just let us know. We'll take care of it. Same with Chris at BNS. No limits over there. If it's an animal, if it's Coco, if it's products he has, shirts, hats, whatever, he'll take Forge Coin for those over there. So appreciate that, Chris. And Angel Caro also, way out in Pacific Northwest. Again, Angel does all the 3D printed stuff. Hides, water bowls, hooks, perches, shipping equipment for arboreals. So
I just put in an order for a couple of gecko lay hides.
Yeah, did you use Forge Coin?
For my own
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right,
well, someone else can. So yeah, he will also take Forge Coin for that. So thank you, Angel. That's much appreciated. And same thing with Jamie and Carl over at Graceful Pythons. They're awesome at their 3D printed stuff too. They sent us over some materials of their products so I can get a little better stuff put together to actual ad probably for this group that shows what each is going to offer. So I won't have to ramble each week about it. But again, custom 3D printed stuff from them. So much appreciated from that group. Thank you very much, guys. Leads us right into the next guy. Chris at BNS is a channel sponsor. He does the Coco2go, the Chipper, both fantastic cocoa beddings. We did, in fact, test that out, and we know that to be true. Wouldn't say so otherwise, but really good product there. Chris also has a ton of different species as well. So anything you're looking for in colubrids, boas, blood pythons, ball pythons, lot of different stuff over at Chris's place, and he does a nice job of it. So super nice guy. Appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for doing the sponsorship. And that just leaves us with one, and that is, oh, Nikki's in the house. Oh, Kurt tonight. Good to see you, Kurt. Never can tell. I always have to look at that dash because Kurt's starting to jump in more and more of these two. I'm sure he was watching before, just didn't have his own alias going. But appreciate you guys. So yeah, that leaves us with just Charlie. We're going to run that commercial, and we will be right back out with Jared at Selective Creations. So see you in a couple, guys. One, the only, Jared with Selective Creations. Good to have you on tonight, Jared. How you feeling?
What's up, everybody? I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
Yeah. not too great, but we're going on
You
with
on
it
the hot
anyway.
seat.
Right. Nice role reversal there. I dig that. Does that come
Yeah.
with the new hosting from your new show?
Oh
Just
no, the nerves
grow
come
on
with
you?
that.
Oh, did you find it that way a little bit?
Oh yeah, I definitely have more nerves on on that show with Leland, hosting. So
Yeah.
Hair Down's a little bit more relaxed because I don't know, there's not as
There's
much
like 12
put on
people out
me.
there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's comfortable as far as like talking about everything and going through the motions, but kind of getting into the flow is where I get the nerves from.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's something we're definitely going to touch on. It's a great new show. It's on the Whiskey Bomb Network. I think most people in here are kind of familiar, but there's several names I kind of talked about in the beginning of this that aren't very familiar with you, Jared. So do you mind doing a little bit of a backstory, back history? Don't have to be super detailed, but kind of a time frame, how you got into this and why?
Yeah, not a problem. So I just recently reinvested into the ball pythons again because it's always been a passion of mine. I really got into this when I was like 8, 9 years old in the late 90s, and I became like hyper focused on it basically. And even in school, when I was supposed to be in computer class learning how to type, I was just typing in, ballpython.net and the forums and fauna classifieds and the different websites so I could see all the new morphs and details of what's happening. So I really just was addicted, basically, in a sense, as far as just like looking into it all the time. And I still did a lot of kid activities, but whenever I was in the house, that's what I was trying to do. So I bred for the first time actually when I was only 11 years old.
Wow.
And well, I was 10, but I had eggs when I was 11. I paired them. Well, no, I guess I was 11 and I had eggs when I was 12, but it was in that time frame, 2001 and 2001, and that was just normals. But it was like 2017, or I mean 2007, that I bought my first morph ball python, and that was a spider, and that was when I was 18. And at that time, spiders were still $1,600. So yeah, but back then, I mean, everybody wanted to breed spider, and they were really hot on the market and really pushing our hobby forward, I'd say. So that was my first ball python morph, and she actually, I would say, she shook a little when she would go to eat, but she didn't have like the corkscrew or nothing like that, which I knew about. Everybody knew about back then. We just looked for the animals without it, and
Sure.
that's what I did. So,
Yeah.
but after that, it was just kind of, I was a keeper and I was just keeping up with the hobby and what was happening and just diving into new breeders and new morphs every time every somebody had a dinker. And I mean, the clown really got my attention in 99 because pieds weren't really my thing, honestly, to begin with, because they're cool as an individual animal to me, but then when you'd go on to like Peter Call's website and you just saw a whole list of pieds that were just kind of the same and they're all
Same.
just super
Yeah.
expensive and I mean they were probably 50, 35 to $50,000 when I was looking, and they came down to like $10,000, $15,000 each over time that I can recall, and then then it kind of disappeared for after that. I don't know how or what happened, but um, basically though the Pied wasn't all that attractive because of the price tag, and I didn't see anything crazy with it because there wasn't anything crazy at the time, and I liked the more patterned morphs and clown really got my attention. So that's really the first mutation I'd say recessively that got me into this. But really, the first mutation that I fell in love with, besides the spider, was the Mojave. And I was
Ah,
able to hold one of those at my first show ever in 2003. I was 14 years old. And I went up to this reptile show. Actually, I was 13 still at the time. It was like right before my birthday. And we went to this reptile show, and it was a small pop up show that had never been there before. And we walked in, I was with my dad, talked him into going. And I was like, oh, look at that Mojave right there. I've just been looking at those online, and they're just so amazing. And seeing one in person back in the day for the first time, like you could have just imagined it being a new morph and no one ever really seeing it, and there's only a couple breeders really working it, and there's one in front of you for 5 grand. I asked the guy to hold it and my dad was like, no way, you're not holding a $5,000 snake. And
right, right.
they were like, nah, it's totally fine, you can hold it. And I got to hold it, so yeah, he didn't like that, but it was okay.
Do you still love them?
Yeah, but after all that, and that's just a little fun history, but after those years of just buying like the spider, and I mean, that was a big purchase for me at the time. And,
Heck yeah. Yep.
life happened, and I had to go to college, and I went to college, and then I moved, and then I became an electrician and just focused on my life for a while, but I was still involved in keeping up with the hobby
How the
and just
heck how the heck did you get in college when you skipped all your computer and typing classes and just looked up
Right.
all Python? How did
scholarship.
Okay. Just teasing, but I'm picturing this transition from reptile fanatic to college student is okay.
Right.
On.
I mean, it was more so a transition from like retail sales, friggin' clerk, and a cook. Like, I was more so a cook full time before I went to college, and then I took
Yeah.
up the electric. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I went for rad tech, radiological technology, and they wanted me to learn too much stuff I didn't want to pay to learn because I just wanted to know to do my job. And I'm like, fuck, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to get my life together faster at that time. I was like, not working. But yeah, so later in life now, I'm set up to really take how I've been set up to a different level and just really chase the dream that I always wanted to go after, which was breeding full time and moving eventually into that position where this is my job, because I'm not old. I'm not too old to start that now by any means. And I don't think that it's impossible for someone to attain that within a reasonable amount of years, to get to that level, being able to sustain yourself. But, you know, it's tough. But I have the heart and I have the drive and I have the passion to really dig through all that. And I have a lot of knowledge that I've attained over the years from watching mistakes and watching successes. So, and talking to people and learning from them so directly. And all that's going to accumulate into just benefiting me trying to be the best that I can for all the people that I want to um, have you know, view me as someone that's a qualified person to go to and get advice from, or just come and check out my animals, knowing that this guy really cares and he really knows what he's doing, and I know that I'm going to be okay with my investment moving forward in a purchase with him.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point that a lot of people miss out on. Is not, let's just make these things, but you do need to establish some kind of a rapport with the community to be viewed that way. Or you got a long, long, rough road ahead, regardless of what you're making. That part of it is crucial to being successful in it, I think. And more so to us. We don't produce the craziest animals. We don't have the wildest products out there. We tend to move things, ton of it, through word of mouth. Somebody gets
What's
something
up,
from
everybody
us.
in the chat?
Yeah, get something from us, and they're happy, and they tell the next person. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
invaluable for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
so
got
great.
to know that first clutch of eggs you had when you're 10, 11 years old. So how did you hatch them? Did you just leave them be? Did you cut them?
No. I had a hovabator.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
had the hovabator, little styrofoam chicken
Styrofoam, yeah.
incubator, because that's,
Yeah.
you had that, or you had like a little, pre-manufactured wine cooler, pretty much, or homemade incubators were pretty
Right.
much the only thing. There was probably more expensive ones, but I wouldn't even look at that because I was a broke kid. But yeah, I bought like $100 Hovabator and set that up with the water bottles and did all the research online of how to get it steady. I had that thing running for like 8 months before it was even ready to, like, before I was even pairing the snakes, because I was excited. And my
Yeah.
mom's
Yeah.
like, "You need to unplug that thing. You're just wasting electricity." I'm like, "I gotta make sure it's perfect."
Yeah.
But mom,
That's,
yeah.
So
that's awesome.
that's how I did it, and I didn't cut or anything. I just let them pip, and
Yeah.
I had three dead in the egg that didn't make it out. One pipped, but I don't know if it drowned itself or what happened, but it just never came out fully. And then one was a little bit underdeveloped, the egg itself. It was one of those boob eggs, and it just didn't
Oh,
really make it all the way
Sure.
through development.
gotcha.
But they were
But
all
that whole
normals.
process, yeah, the whole process is the key there. I mean, you knew enough. Get the incubator, get it checked out, get it at the right temps.
Yeah.
All of that learning process at such an early stage is pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah. It's pretty
Wouldn't
cool.
have been
And
something I would have even thought about at that age.
No.
We're too busy
yeah,
playing in the mud.
unfortunately, it didn't help me because I didn't get an opportunity to do this when I was younger. So, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
now I know a lot more and a lot better. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So when did you start back in? Now you talked about a couple different dates here, but like your current collection and where you started to decide this is going to be my foundation. This is where I'm going to start into this with an earnest attempt at it. Like what time frame is this?
So, 2017, I had to sell my well-built collection of designer green tree pythons that I had built up, because in 2013 I made a transition to green tree pythons. Like, not transition, but that's what I got into. And I really put together this little army of really solid animals, and having to sell those in 2017, I didn't really, I mean, I did for the benefit of me having a kid. So I needed the money, put the money and just the time, and so that's just life, and sometimes you make those decisions, and that was the decision I made. But it really kind of depressed me about, like, even looking at other snakes and stuff online. I was just like, man, I miss my
Yeah.
snakes. So it took me a little bit of while to get around from that. And what happened from 2017 until like 2021, with the progression of how morphs were coming out and getting stacked and new combos, and stacked recessives and all this new layers of the ball python game, I was like, it got me really excited again. And I had that passion to just just keep some snakes, not really like necessarily breed as a business or anything, but just breed for myself, just to have fun. And I've just bought like some lower end animals to start out with, just because I wanted to just keep them as pets. And then basically it was my girlfriend. She really sparked everything at the time, and she was like, you need to go to the show because you love to do this. So I went to the shows again, and it was done from there. I bought a freaking MJ Xanthic, and it just kind of took off.
Yeah. And picked a great line. I mean, we don't work
Yeah.
MJ, but it's visually a very nice line, obviously.
Yeah, but honestly I owe a lot of credit to her at that time for kind of pushing me and helping me get back into all of these like higher end animals.
Okay.
Cool.
Gotcha.
And
So,
then I just was like, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna use my knowledge and I'm gonna do it to how I want to structure it so that I can actually, you know, in the end hit the goal of what I would like, which is doing this full time.
gotcha. And where do you see that time frame realistically? And obviously, things change and can't be super determined. But what would be your goal date for that to occur? Is it 5 years out? Is it 10? Is it where does that finish line kind of feel for you being at that goal?
So I have a good career, so I'm not like worried right now about transitioning anytime in a short amount of years, like 2 or 3 years. That seems unreasonable for anything unless I was investing a very, very high amount of money. But then to try to get back into the green would be much more difficult. So in this market, it's made it to where I can invest into these really, really, you know, I'd say more stacked genetic animals that I wouldn't have been able to afford as well, especially during like the COVID times or anything like that. And I've just built that foundation mainly of really nice female genetics in my projects so that as I grow, as I breed the pairings that I have lined up, have a bunch of holdbacks, because that's what I'm breeding for, is I'm breeding for growth. I'm
Yeah.
breeding
Sure.
for projects that are going to push me forward and hopefully push me, hopefully just produce something that spotlights me as a breeder for that morph or that combo or that, whatever it is. I don't know. Just kind of, it makes itself and brings that market and that attention towards me because I'm doing something different, you know?
Yeah,
I don't
creating
want to
your
do
own lane.
something, yeah,
Yep.
and I don't want it to sound wrong or like the wrong way. I don't know, but it's like I'm not trying to make people just like pay more attention to me and just like, here, buy my snakes and all that. I actually would rather have people come and ask me questions and ask me for help IDing things and learn, because those are the people who will be the best customers in the end, and they're the
Yep.
people who are going to give you referrals, and it shows who you are as a person to be going. I don't know, I'm on a tangent, I'm on a rant.
No, it
Yeah,
makes sense, man.
it does make sense. And it's true if you look at the truly successful long term people, they do feel like they have those not pet grade, but pet projects that put them in that position, like Ozzy with Orange Dream,
Hmm.
Tom Barnhart with his own Black Pastel. Those names for exactly what you're saying. They kind of put themselves in a lane, made themselves known for that. And if you're looking for that, they go to you naturally. So
Yeah.
it's a very
But
smart
I don't
path.
pick a lane though, right? Like that's really good advice, and I think it's smart to do that, to separate. It's a good way of separating yourself, right? Trying to find your own lane in a project and developing that so that you're the go-to guy for that project. I guess that's where I was getting at with my rant basically. Was like being the
Hmm.
go-to guy for something. And just like Chris Herndon with the Scrambler OD stuff, and Ozzy with the Orange Dream combos and the Clown Pied Ultra Mill Hypo stuff, and You know, there's Miguel with the Hypo DG Clown. Like that's who I go to for that type of stuff sometimes. And um, you know, I take a lot of my experience though, and it doesn't allow me to pick a lane, right? So I have a vision for a lot of different projects, and it's something that I think is going to work that I don't know if other people are doing because I haven't seen it yet, right? So,
Gotcha.
and I have a lot of those thoughts and a lot of those visions, and I have a lot of progressive thinking when it comes to stacking genetics, and all of that accumulates to me wanting to get into here and into there. So I've accumulated animals that can condense certain projects into a group, and in that group I can actually produce, you know, doubles of this and doubles of that, and they're different doubles, and possibly hit for a triple and possibly hit for a quad. I can pivot those projects in so many different directions. I can hit lower
Overlap.
levels, I can go for higher levels, and then if I go for higher levels, the misses are going to be higher tier or mid
Yeah.
tier, you know. So I try to structure a lot of my planning around that thought process. And like I move projects out because I find better opportunity, right? So it's not like if you see me selling something that I've purchased, it's not like, oh, I don't want this project anymore. It's because I might have found somebody that has that project in a deeper level that I'm
Yep.
like, all right, I'm just gonna buy in at that level because I want to be progressive in that project. And
Gotcha.
one of them, you know, they might be niche projects where I'm just having a pairing or two in that project and I'm hoping for odds. And then I have my meat and potatoes projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
So
that's smart. And the other thing is, like you were saying, way in the beginning, is being the person that people go to for advice or information or just for help is even more important. Because, I mean, let's face it, everybody would like to, hey, I discovered this gene, this morph, or hey, I made this one so much better that it's a standout. But I mean, the odds of doing that are pretty low. Could happen. Everybody wants it to, but the odds are pretty low. So in reality, your better bet is to be the go-to person just in general, because that's as long as you're making quality animals and people know they can trust you and they know they can go to you for advice, that makes you a standout,
Hmm.
right?
I believe that a lot of this, you know, this new thought process of, you know, branching into other projects and all that, and talking about it more openly online, like a lot of breeders are just open about that now. It's really creating a market for all the other morphs, and it's pushing the other morphs out more just as it is without even the need for people to like want to get away from clown or want to get away from pied. It's like, yeah, we have always had that. We've always wanted to get branches outside of those certain projects hot on the market. But now it's like people are naturally just reaching for these projects to bring out and try to find their path because that's what people are preaching to them, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to start seeing, like, one of the things that I can say that I feel confident about is that we're going to see a lot of kryptons coming to the
Oh
market
yeah,
and
for
shows.
sure.
And I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really awesome to see all these different krypton combos because they're easy to make, right? Now, there's if everyone says, well, I'm sick of kryptons in 5 years, what if, you know, this is how the market works? Oh, 5, 10 years from now, I'm sick of kryptons. They're everywhere. I like clown. I like puzzle. So like
Yeah.
the market switches, and like you gotta also have a progressive eye and a progressive mind for where things might twist and turn. Because yeah, I've bought in some projects that I had a vision for and then learned that all right, somebody's already working on that, and I still want to be in it because I've only heard of a few people, but it's like now that I know they're working it, I won't push it as hard because I know that I can buy some animals from them because they know I'm working it and we're kind of in it together.
Yeah.
So
yep.
and that
Yep.
comes into play too when you're working little niche projects. When you find other breeders working those niche projects, they are more willing to work with you because you're already, I mean, sometimes, most of the time in my experience, they're more willing to work with you on, you know, having offspring and selling offspring amongst each other and the projects and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's kind of in the same vein. What you're talking about is really bringing up the base value of some of the more basic codoms and things as well. When they're not into a project yet, things that you've seen that revival a little bit with things like Lesser, um, getting back into puzzle. I think we're going to see several cool different projects over the next few years, especially several people picking a lane no one is in. Exactly.
you know what
Agree,
I'm going to
John.
push? You know what I'm going to push? I'm going to push a theory that's like, stop the hate and appreciate everything. Appreciate every morph, because we're at a point where it's like, okay, yeah, you can dislike a morph in projects and things like that, right? Like, I don't really care for pastel and clown unless it's got DG and things like that, but I'm not gonna push my agenda or my thoughts so that it influences the market. I'm gonna be, I want to push pastel in projects I like it in. I don't want to dump on morphs. Like, that's not my MO. Like, how I talk about Spider. Do I really think that I'm gonna make people interested in Spider? No, but I am going to say what I think, and that's that, we've proven now that Spider isn't a neurological issue. It's a ear canal issue. Just like if we were missing one of the three bones in the inner ear, we would have really bad vertigo. We wouldn't be able to keep our balance, and that's a similar issue to them. They don't know up from down when they have a disc-shaped or a misshaped ear canal. So
Mhm.
all that they're doing is they're floating around in space. That they're having fun, if anything. Who knows? Like, I don't think that they are suffering in any way, shape, or form. And we've bred them for how many years now in the industry? So, like, I think it was 1994 that the spider was like found, and then bred 95. So we're talking 30 years,
And I
plus.
do hold out that hope that there are combinations that can not only improve that, but maybe almost eliminate it completely in the
Well,
right
people just need to
pairings.
try to find. People just need to try to find a combination with blackhead spider that'll bring the webbing back in, because
Yeah,
blackhead spider takes away the ear canal issues and it normalizes the pattern.
yeah, kind of gets it back to what you didn't like visually
Yeah,
about it, right? But
but like, I don't mind spider. I'm not gonna breed a lot of it because I don't want to have to fight a market about something, So
Mhm.
that's where it makes it to where that's what I want to change, is like the hate on the market, basically. Like, don't hate on somebody because they want to breed a spider ball python, because that animal probably doesn't have any issues.
right, yeah, and
I
it
mean,
isn't the entirety of them; it's a case by case deal. So
yeah,
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a beautiful, beautiful morph that just kind of got shit on, and
like, I didn't even
sometimes for
share
bad
my
reason.
unboxing of my spider because I just don't care to hear people hate on it if they want to, or spark some controversy, or I don't know. Controversy brings more people looking, so go ahead.
Unboxed it as a bolt.
Bring the controversy. Let more people come.
Right, right. Yeah, just unbox it as a bolt next
Yeah,
time, and you're good.
the whole bolt thing, I don't even know about that. I can't comment on it, but I just that was new to me. Someone brought it up and I was like, man, I feel like I've heard of it from before, like mid 2010s or something like that. I think maybe. I'm not
Right.
positive when it came around, but it was like I might have heard of it. I was like, what is it again? And they were like, oh, it's that spider that doesn't have wobble. I'm like, I have no idea about that.
Right. Yeah, I think it was I don't know how you want to say it, but a marketing scheme. But
Yeah, like
yeah,
he
same.
didn't, like he probably was like just not selling the animals that showed any kind of issues.
Exactly.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got this line. Who knows? I'm just speculating. I don't know. He might have just thought genuinely that it was something. I don't know anything about it.
Right, right. So something you've kind of gotten known for, and we did touch on it a little bit by being the guy that's kind of a go-to guy for answers, things like that. is your eye and your ability to ID and spot genetics in kind of some jumbled up mess of a combo, by really knowing what the genes themselves do, right? So
Yeah.
you've kind of gotten around the community as that guy that tends to have a good eye for that, or at least a fair portion of the time you're accurate, or feels like. And that led you into this new show with Whiskey Bomb, Genetic Canvas. Was this something you envisioned doing or wanting to do for some time, or was this kind of a spur of the
Um,
moment decision, or how did
yeah,
that come
I
about?
mean, it was pretty damn random, basically. It was I don't even know the word, but it was just like coincidental to where, or ironic to where, like, I had brought it up to Keys that I wanted to help out more with the network and be a better part of it somehow, like however I can help, whether it was like, sharing more um, reels or making reels or whatever. I was just asking if I could help in some way, and nothing came up in the conversation about a show for me or nothing. But he started talking about other shows that, like Elias was going to move over to the network and form into the Whiskey Bomb network. And then I came back like a day later and I was like, I thought about it, and like, I feel like I could add a show to the network where I can like bring people in and like do like morph IDs or like clutch IDs. And that was my initial like thought for my idea of like a show I could do. And then he came back and he was like, no way. He was like, check this out. And he had just sent a message to, I think, Wiz saying, bro, we need to get Jared down to do a show because he's like really good with the genetics and stuff. And it was like literally like the same time that he sent that to him, I sent my message to Keys. Like it was maybe minutes apart. And it
Uh-huh.
was just like the universe just like lining up basically with our
Yeah.
thought processes. And then it
So
was
it's
it
like a
was all
hive
history
mind
from there,
over at Whiskey
It's a
Bomb.
hive mind. Yeah, exactly.
No, but seriously, like I had the screenshots and everything to prove it.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it was
yeah.
crazy. And it just kind of fell into place right after that. We just kind of started breaking down ideas, and it was a collaboration on how to put it together. And
Hmm.
then to bring Leland in, that was, uh, Keys and Wiz, that was their suggestion, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I like Leland. I think he add a lot to the show. So,
Yeah,
uh,
Leland's a character and a fun guy. I mean, he'll just come off with some off the wall stuff, but honestly has a lot to add.
yeah, for
Leland's
sure.
a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, me and him talk about genetics and stuff just offline and over the phone, just to talk about what I'm doing, what he's doing. But yeah,
It's
we were
because you guys
actually
are snake
becoming better
nerds.
friends now. But
I think he just called you a snake nerd. I wouldn't
that's
take that.
fine.
That's all right. Cool with it.
Yeah, I don't mind that. But
Right, right.
so once everything was just kind of coming together as a collaborative effort, and it was more so like I was like, all right, well, I can break down a morph. I thought of the idea of like more of like I can do a show where I talk about genetics and try to get people to show them off with me, like so that way, I didn't have to try to find somebody hatching eggs, and there's an off season for that, so morph IDs and that stuff would be harder to do year round. So eventually, hopefully, somebody wants to do some like morph IDs and stuff on the show during an episode, and they can totally like just hit me up and be like, "Hey, I heard the next episode is this or that, and I got a clutch that's coming up, or whatever, a clutch that just hatched, and it's a chocolate morph combos, and you're
Hmm.
doing a chocolate episode like we just did, and yeah, I mean, I would do that live too, so." Different
That would be awesome.
ideas were spewing around, and yeah, we just settled on these plans, and I really really just like the idea of trying to be more of an educator and share the little things that I've learned over the years, and I'm not correct 100% of the time. All of the identifications that I make are obviously, they're just,
Best educated guess from experience and
Yeah.
and I don't
seeing
say
interaction.
guess, they're my best educated identification. You know what I mean? It's not really a guess because I'm breaking it down.
Sure.
For a lot of people, I think it would be more of an educated guess, but I take a lot of different intricacies and small details into account to really explain why I think it does this or that. And someone can contradict me and say, well, or pull out another snake right after I say something, and then go, well, what about this? And then I can
Right.
break it down a little further and be like, all right, well, I was a little wrong there. I guess this is that or whatever. So
Yeah.
sometimes, especially nowadays, a lot of times it's difficult without seeing the entire clutch. So you can
Or a
catch me,
parent
Or yeah.
sometimes,
even
What was the
that,
pairing?
but you
Yep.
can catch me, and people have done it before where they're just like, oh, well, what do you think this is here? And they'll tell me the pairing, and I'll be like, well, it kind of looks like this, and that, and these are the reasons why. And then they'll pull out another animal right after and be like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, okay, so re-go through the traits in my head, and I'm like, well, that one has to be what's what I said the previous one was, and then that one has to be lacking this for this reason, and then correct my mistakes by explaining why I made the mistake.
Sure.
But
It's an
if you do
evolving
that,
process, if we're
just
going to be
Oh
bring the
yeah.
whole
honest.
clutch.
Yeah.
Let
Yes,
Yes.
me see them
absolutely.
ahead of time.
Well, and
Right.
Charlie's counting on you being wrong at least part of the time, Jared. So
Oh yeah, no, there's
yeah.
always going to be the confirmations.
Yeah.
Even for me, I can say like, okay, I think that this has this for these reasons, but even me, I want testing to confirm. So I'm
Absolutely.
not saying like I think
Yeah.
that I'm a positive identifier. I don't think that I'm 100% correct on everything or the reasons why. I just try to give a good explanation as to my thoughts and the process of getting to that identification.
Yeah. And in all reality, yes, no one take his word for it.
Yeah.
Charlie, send them over.
Charlie, you know me. I just make it so confusing that they're like, yeah, I'm just going to send the shed to Charlie.
Right.
Like, you sound so good and it sounds so right, but I'm going to have to just confirm this with Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely. For
No, the
sure.
good thing
And
about it
that's
though is if you
exactly how I describe stuff, right? I make it so confusing and like you want to believe me, but it's like, all right, I believe you, but I'm going to have to double check.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you
After
explain your
that
thought
encyclopedia.
process, it helps people learn how to identify too. If they're going,
For
oh, okay,
sure.
so he thinks it because of this, and then that kind of sticks with them, and they'll do better.
Exactly. It's just a new way for people to learn, another way for people to learn.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's true too, John. I was just about to say the same thing.
I'm never correct.
No one is 100%. And oftentimes people are wrong more than they're right. And that's really all over Morph Market. If you just look at Morph Market for half a day, you'll be shocked at some of the stuff you see people label
I
out
just
there.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick that I do appreciate all the compliments and all the comments that I get from everybody about me and talking about identifications and genetics and stuff, because I know that I've heard a lot from the various people that they appreciate the way that I break things down and they do learn a lot from that. So I just appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and appreciating me for doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew this was going to be a show that was needed right now, and more so than ever with the complexity of things that are coming out. A lot of question marks in people's clutches now where you've got 5 genes on each side, and that's going to be harder and harder as time goes by for people to really pull apart those combinations.
Yeah.
So this kind of show is perfect. It's perfect timing. It's what everybody needs, and good for new people too. Starting
And
like you do with the base morph and building up from there so they can
yeah.
kind of grow their
So
knowledge.
I sparked another, okay, so this sparked right now a whole nother idea, which is going to be, so like on the chocolate episode we just ran yesterday, there's snakes that are going to be tested, right? Because some of those snakes on the show will be tested by the people because they want to know what it is. So
Sure.
I think now we're gonna have to add in a little update segment where it's like, all right, you got the test results. Let's just pre-record something for an
Great
update
Yeah.
idea.
segment, and then pop that in during an episode. Like, all
Are
right,
you
we
going to
got a
bring Maury
chocolate.
Povich in for the results, or
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
get Maury out there, or somebody like
Yeah.
that? That's a great idea. A little checklist of what your best guess, well, not guess, but your
What
best
my
ID
guess
was
was during that episode,
versus the
and then with
result.
the results. Yeah, just
Yeah,
to
that's
see.
excellent.
That would be kind of cool, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
it'd be fun for sure. And I bet you do hit it. I bet you do hit it pretty close a lot of times. And again, when you're talking 8 different gene possibilities, if you miss 1 in 8 in that group, that's still
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Well, and yeah, like you said with the stacks, I mean, and the het influences on some things that we see over and over, and people start to think it's actually part of it. And Charlie was talking about this in the show earlier tonight. There's probably going to be a lot of disappointment with some of these tests that come up because people think that they've got something and they're going to find out that they don't, which is it's not great.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good on one side, but
Like,
going to be disappointing
I
for
have
sure.
some dinkers right now that I like them. I think that they might be something. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, is there a het influence in here from something
Yeah.
that's known that is tweaking this? But I've never seen anything really like it specifically before. And it intrigued me enough where I bought the clutch. I was like, all right, I'll buy this clutch. And then they're breeding the female again this year. I'm gonna keep an eye on what comes out of her this year. And I know it comes from the mom just because she has the weird look to her. And yeah, I'm gonna go from there, see if I want to buy anything out of that clutch if they offer it. But if it's anything that's already known to my knowledge,
rename it.
it's gonna be the dinker it's gonna be the dinker gene that Ozzy has because the lineage
Oh,
traces back to his collection.
Yeah.
And
okay.
it's from a similar it's not from as deep of a project of what he has his dinker in right now, and it's not like the scrambler stuff. It's his gene that he's just calling dinker right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
okay. So not the weirdo.
yeah, none of that
Okay.
stuff. He doesn't have a name unless he's just gonna call it dinker forever. But so his description of it really kind of fits the like that this is hitting. And yeah, the lineage kind of traces back through the grapevine, at least to animals that were from a joint project between him and Tom Barnhart.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's a gene that might have popped out of the original Barnhart line Black Pastel that Ozzy kind of took it and found, and he's worked it. But I don't think he worked it really until more recently because I've only really seen it in, if it is the same thing, I've only really seen it in Hypoclown Pied and just regular clown in his sales of what he's been offering. But
And
it's just saying if it is anything similar, it would be that because of the things that line up.
Where it's coming from. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but I still haven't seen like a single gene of his Dinker project or anything like that, where I do have single genes of this, and it's very noticeable.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I'll show
You
you.
will get the opportunity,
Yeah.
but we are gonna warm you up a little bit first because we are
Oh,
at the
it's that
mark
time.
where
Yeah.
we are at the mark. Are you ready to play the game?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, you're going in there. So
All right, countdown.
Your
Count
hot
down.
seat is
Right.
pure snake genetics.
it is time. Here we go, guys.
It's time to play the game. It's time to play the game. Ha ha ha. Let's go.
Hi, Jared.
Whoa, where am I? I'm not there.
You're on fire. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, my seat got real hot.
Look at that. Oh, I can do that too. Here, hold up. Here. Ooh.
That was my surprise for the night.
Very nice. All right. We're going to start off with music or podcasts.
Probably podcasts. I listen to those more.
Yeah. Would you rather try to genetically engineer a gecko to regrow its tail instantly or a chameleon to change its color to perfectly mimic its environment?
The chameleon, yeah, for sure. Like to
Tattoos or
perfectly
piercings?
blend.
Right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Tattoos.
Do you have tattoos?
Yeah. I got
Ball
that.
pythons.
No, it's a green tree python.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And then I got another green tree on this. I can
Oh,
barely
that
see
looks
it, but
nice. Look at those
those are my
eyes.
2 reptile tattoos.
Yeah, very cool. I love them. Converse or Adidas?
uh, what do I have? Yeah, Converse.
At a reptile show, do you rep your friends or yourself?
I usually rep my friends.
Would you rather stay young physically or mentally?
Mentally.
Would it be easier to genetically engineer a lizard to change color based on temperature or a snake to produce venom with a specific target effect?
Hmm. I feel like it would probably be easier to genetically engineer a snake to do that.
Yeah. It'd be hard to do any of the above for me, but
Well,
I was
because
curious of your answer.
there's different type of toxins that target different
Yeah.
things. So you can engineer a snake to have whatever toxin concoction that you want.
Huh.
If you were playing
Interesting.
with that game.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to extract venom at a Southwest Florida venom lab.
Really.
Yeah.
And sold it? What'd you do with it?
They would get
Yeah.
it changed over to dry granules, and then they would
Yeah.
sell them by the gram to different medical facilities for like anti-venom creation and anti-venin is what they would always call it, but both
Venom.
words are proper, and or they would sell it to medical research facilities so that they could break it down to like enzymes and proteins, and different
Huh.
venoms had different benefits to different illnesses.
That's super cool. Yeah, I want to look into that. That's pretty interesting. Back to an easy one. Super salad.
Salad.
Rivers or lakes?
Lakes.
Would you rather cut a real Christmas tree or buy an artificial one?
Artificial.
Do you like the word dapper?
Honestly, I like the smell and everything about a real one, and I wish I just
Yeah.
would put up with the maintenance, but it ain't for me. So, what did you
Yeah.
say, dapper or what?
Dapper. Do you like the word dapper?
Dapper.
You're
Do I
looking
look
mighty
pretty
dapper today.
dapper? Like
Dapper.
Bradley Cooper,
Like,
dapper.
yeah, like that. Oh, I love it. If you had the power to bring back the dinosaurs, would you?
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, if I could select which ones I wanted to, that would be cool. But
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't want to, honestly.
yeah. I think there'd be more cons than pros to it, but it would be cool. Just see dinosaur. Yeah. All right. Are you a vivarium kind of guy or racks with tubs?
Racks with tubs. But
Do
I
you
do
have
like
any
vivariums.
vivariums? Yeah.
I have a focus cubed habitats, basically. I would consider those vivariums because I use
Yep.
them for the green trees. Uh,
Okay.
that one's like up there.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. The Godfather or Star Wars?
Oh, the Godfather.
If you could have your pick of accents, what would you pick?
British.
Yes, me too. One time when my son was young, he pretended he was British for like 2 months straight. literally.
I enjoy listening to like, honestly though, like honestly, I really do enjoy like the South African accent. If I could
Yeah.
ever pull that off, like that
Yeah.
would be cool.
Yeah. It's
Because
fun.
it's like
I
a
love.
mix of like, it sounds similar to like an Australian accent almost, but it's, I don't know, it's got its
Different.
own
Yep.
differences. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would you pick?
Hmm. Let's see. Hit me again with the question. Any cartoon character?
If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would you pick?
Ah, probably Daffy Duck.
Oh, fun. Nobody has said Daffy Duck before.
Yeah, I feel like he'd take me on a crazy adventure, you know, DuckTales and shit.
Oh, yeah. Why do you why do you feel understanding genetics is important for breeding?
Um, for one, because there's a lot of different mutations that can have issues if you're breeding them together. So avoiding those snakes that do have critical issues is important. And because if you have, so if you're breeding for fun, everything's fine, right? But if you have a vision of progressing anything, you have to have an understanding of at least the genetics that you're playing with. So
Right.
you want to do the research into the stacking of what you can create out of what you're trying to put together so that you can think beyond that, right? So
Absolutely.
there's
Yep.
so many different combos in this hobby that have been created, and there's so many similar combos that you can
Yeah.
pull up to draw ideas from if you can't find the specific combo that you are looking for. So having that knowledge is just really beneficial in a lot of different angles.
Yeah, it is. I'm still learning. I
And
run
it's not
across
like
all the
knowledge across
time.
the board, but it really is just having the knowledge of your genetics and where you might be able to
Yeah.
take it and progress it where it's new. It's a new, different avenue.
Right. Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. In your opinion, what's the most important advice for new breeders?
Mm, put on a light show. There we go.
Yep.
There's the red.
Oh,
No,
look at that.
so the most
I like it.
important advice for new breeders.
Yep.
So say that they're already established and they have a good collection.
Okay.
Um, at least the projects they want to work, you know.
Right.
I would
Right.
say my best advice is to um, shut out the outside noise
Yeah.
because you'll hear a lot of things that might want to influence your own directions, and you can't let that
Hmm.
influence your directions
Yep.
because you have a passion for this because of your ideas. You know,
Right.
that's where we draw our passions from, is being excited about our ideas if we're trying to breed and you know start something. And
Good
being a new
answer.
breeder, that's what you're really feeding off of, and you're
Right.
feeding off of the excitement. So don't get too excited, and yeah, that's about it.
That's a great answer. That's fantastic. If you could only breed with one type of gene, would you choose dominant or recessive?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, okay. If I'm being really technical, I'd have to say recessive. You know why?
Why?
Because codoms are technically recessives.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a few dominant morphs in ball pythons,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
real. But if we were talking like codominance or recessives, which I know that's really the answer, I would have to go with I would have to go with the Kodam side just because there's so much more variety and pattern and color that you can play with without having to really toy around with the extra years. So if it was just for like cool combos and having
Right.
like variety, that's what I would go for is the
The
variety.
codoms. Yep. Very good. And the last question in the hot seat, I know you're probably melting over there. What would you like to be known for? We already kind of touched on it, but
Yeah.
you can go ahead. Yeah.
I want to be, I honestly would rather be known for the guy that has quality in a lot of like in a few different projects. You know, people can look at me as okay, he's always progressing, and and I can always draw an interest and be interesting to people. You know, that's the one thing I really want to accomplish is being interesting.
I think you'll have no problem doing that. Very good job in the hot seat. You did it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight. Next year, we're taking the week off due to Christmas Day. So we're wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. And as always, don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe.
Nice. Well done, sir. We knew it was going to be pretty straightforward for an analytical guy like yourself to hammer down some answers, but did really well. Some odd ones I didn't expect in there. I thought you were going soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going soup for sure. But salad it is. We'll know that.
I think that was the toughest hot seat.
Hey, I had a chicken Caesar salad for dinner last night.
Nice. Yeah.
It made the
A
question
nice
really
loaded.
easy.
Right. Nice loaded salad. It's good. Soup's tough to beat though. Maybe it's the cold. It's because you're in Florida. We're sitting up here in the cold.
Yeah,
We need that soup.
exactly. Who's eating soup will just make me sweat.
Right, it can, for sure. So
Turn
right
down the
before that,
AC.
yeah, before we put you on the spot, we were kind of leaning towards those racks behind you, and I'm not sure what you were headed for or what we were talking about exactly, but it's always more than welcome to see some of the stuff you're working in or some of the animals you're excited about. If you want to show a few off, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I was just gonna. I offered to show you one of those dinkers that could be something, could be nothing. Who knows?
Sure.
But
Okay, let's take a peek.
I
We'll
got
get this
two.
in there too.
One of them has more of a hypo influence that I can see, but this one is the one that wouldn't have the hypo influences as much. But it's, if I can get it in focus here. Is that better?
Yeah, it's focusing pretty well. Yeah. Boy, it's
So,
blocking everything out really.
see a lot of
Alien heads.
variety in the size and the block. Like the size of every alien head is different. Some are grouped together. These two are like really tall towers that are skinny. There's no real uniformity in the pattern.
There's
at
no
all.
pattern really. Yeah.
And then look at the back. So it's like almost
banding over the top and
a little bit of banding, almost empty back. But at first I was like, it kind of looks chocolatey, but then I compared it to chocolate and I'm like, this isn't chocolate. But like in person, one of the big things here, see these dots on the back of the head?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of them have those spots. And they always have a little blushed out back of the head.
Yeah, just slight, but it's there. I mean, you see it.
And then
wow, that is very
real
strange.
bubbly, wild-looking pattern. And now there is het pied influence, which is making it a little wilder down by the tail. But you can still see whatever this dinker is bubbling it up everywhere and really creating those hills.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like a Mario Brothers landscape.
So even with that het pied tracking, it's not dragging the pattern out as it is down low, but not throughout like the chaining. Like I would expect this here to be more all the way down the tail if it was just like a het pied influence.
It's got a really curious halo around the alien heads as well. I mean, they're really haloed out all the way around the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. Darks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very strange. So this is what you feel like is just the base gene and
yeah, because this comes from Mojave Black Pastel. We're the only other codoms in the pairing.
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, it's neither. So.
Yep. But the spots on the head is like the one notable thing. Let's see. Like
now,
just
are they
as far as
all
identifying? I'm saying like.
Sure.
They
yeah.
all have
are
that.
they?
You said right.
Yeah, except for when you get the black pastel, because that washes out head stamps of even spot nose.
Right.
Are they all on the darker side like that? Are they tending towards the darks?
Yeah, so the one that I think is going to prove hypo has the influences that I also brought up in the chocolate episode yesterday.
Okay.
But you can still see the dinker influences in it, even though you have the I believe it'll prove hypo just because it has all the influences and the markers. And you'll see that. So I'll start off with the belly. You can see this one has a lot more black in the belly,
Hmm.
especially in the middle there.
Boy, I see the dot already on the head there.
Yeah. So the back half is more empty back, like the last one, more empty
Yeah.
back. Then the banding starts.
Yep. Couple of bands in there. Yep.
And then in this one, you really see a lot of the holes. I guess this side doesn't have as many. Let's see the other side. So it's hard
It's
to
crazy that it's putting the holes in the
see
loose
those
alien
dots.
heads too. Yeah, that's cool. That's very
Mhm.
obvious.
So you see the holes down the neck stripe on this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then all in the pattern, the dorsal pattern. Then right here on the inner. So right here, you get like the hypo connections, the
Pulling the
extra,
eyes.
yeah, the extra eyes. And then right there, the connection with the high dots, and this one has the dots. Just like, I don't know, it's a very hypo influence look with all these extra little holes and stuff. Where the other one doesn't have that.
Yeah,
So,
got you.
and this one also has a stronger head stamp influence, I believe, from the hypo.
Well, and it's pulling those belly lava
Mhm.
bubbles too in spots.
Mhm. Yeah, you can still see the influences of the dinker,
Yeah.
but it has a lot more of the alien eyes and the keyholes.
Yeah, I'd be curious
So
to see that.
those are the two like single genes, and FNA is working with this also.
Okay. Fred and AJ over there have the same thing going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, they had it before I did because they sold the Mojave female that produced this clutch to Sundog Serpents.
Gotcha. Do you
And
have anything super excited about you that you hatched this year?
just that one holdback that is still at my friend's because that was just a joint
Gotcha.
pairing. That was the only thing I did last year because I was still investing. I'm just breeding now,
Okay.
like what I've invested.
So what's your most powerful male? Who's doing all the work this year, and what is that project going to look like?
My most
If you
powerful
don't have,
male breeding right now is Cypress Krypton head ultramil.
okay,
Yeah,
nice. I dig that. I have not seen. Do you have him available?
yeah, I
I'd
can
like to
grab
see a
him.
Cypress Krypton. He's not
Yeah.
paired or anything, right?
No, he's not paired right now.
I
He's
don't know
on
if I've
break.
seen a Cypress Krypton.
Yeah, I got him from the web.
Yeah, but I don't think I've seen just a Cypress Krypton. If I'm being honest, Cypress clowns, but oh, okay. Boy, I like that. Cypress is such a nice gene.
Come here, buddy.
Ah, beautiful snake.
Yeah, he's relatively chill. He don't even want to move. So how many pairings is he looking at this year, Jared?
Um, right now he has two.
Okay.
I'm not doing too many pairings this year because I didn't get all my female. They grow at their rate, even if you feed them well. So I didn't get them all up to size that I was comfortable with for breeding. But I'm doing like 4 or 5 pairings right now. But that's okay. I'm not really rushing nothing.
Heck yeah.
But here, I'll show you one of the girls he's breeding. It's looking really good. Oh, she's looking really good.
It's always funny hearing the people at a distance. Tubs moving and mumbling like you do in the snake room.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That's a good looking girl. Is that vanilla in that?
No, she's just clown with head influence.
Oh, you're kidding. It's super bright.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she is definitely something else. She doesn't look like a normal clown by any means.
No, it looked like a vanilla clown to me, honestly. It's hard to tell
Yeah, I mean, it
coloration, but
doesn't look like it browned out at all.
She's got a glow going on right now because she's definitely ovulating, or not ovulating, but she's got a lot of follicle growth going on right now.
but
So,
that's a fantastic looking clown. Like
there you
what
go.
is holding her color so well?
So if you ever do a little like digging into clown with head genetic stripe het influence and clown brings in color like this.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
there was nothing else in her pairing that would make her this color, but I did some looking into things and I was like, man, G stripe, like clown hat G stripe really does have an influence. And maybe I'm not sure how much influence it has hat G stripe in other combos, but I seen it in clown. And then she's also het hypo, and we know how het hypo has a lightning
Oh,
influence.
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So she has both, het influence is expressing really strongly, I think, because there's nothing else that can account for it.
No, she's gorgeous. Honestly, for an adult clown, she looks fantastic.
Yeah. Look at those holes, how dark they are, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love this female.
Well, that's a
I got it.
fantastic
When I
example.
bought her, I got the picture of her hatching out of the egg, so it makes it that much better. Look at her head stamp. It's like a slash across her neck.
Right.
Uh,
It's like a watercolor. Pretty cool, man.
But
Very
yeah,
nice animal.
she's definitely gonna give me some babies. So those babies are gonna be all clown or all krypton with cypress, and they'll be possible triple hat hypogenetic stripe ultramel. Because I want to work ultramel krypton stuff, but I want to get it deeper into projects. And not saying I would go for all three of those in the same project necessarily, but it gives me the options to pivot to two different directions, at least for the things I do want to work with.
yeah.
And I'd be getting it,
Absolutely.
Kikis and Crypties, whatever you want to call them.
Crypties. I like that. I haven't heard that yet, but I dig
I
it.
just made it up. So,
If that's what you get, that's what we're calling it.
but
Crypties.
Krypton, Kiki balls, basically Krypton genetic stripe clown.
Yep.
Like they're not clown, but it's a visual expression. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
badass.
you can work that. See, I think that that's an untapped direction. Is like, people are gonna tell me stop fucking talking, Jared. Excuse my language. But
You could
yeah, I
swear all
think
you
that's
want.
totally an untapped direction. Is like the Krypton Kiki stuff. Like, yeah, I've seen the Desert Ghost genetic stripe Kryptons, and there's some animals out there, but they're mind blowing animals. And Desert Ghost has a very strong pattern influence in its homozygous form, especially. So I want to see a different morph in there that is a lightning gene, and that's why I think Ultramel and Hypo would be the best way to go that route.
And Hypo Ultramel is just a match made in heaven anyway. They look so
That's,
nice.
so I don't think you can go wrong with either direction, even if you go for the triple Krypton, Krypton Hypo G Stripe Ultramel.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it'd be a beautiful animal.
And if I hit enough animals where it's like, all right, I'm only keeping these two girls and maybe a male or something back because I hit odds, those animals, hopefully, those are going to be desirable. I think they will be.
Yeah.
Oh, they
So,
definitely would.
but another thing is with this girl, that wasn't her planned male. So that was just a backup that I put together just because it made sense for me. Because I said, okay, this actually ties into projects and directions that I have working already, and other seasons. Basically, probably next season I'll start a Desert Ghost genetic stripe clown, like my actual projects. So it gives me a jump start in different directions than the animals I would be pairing, and it wasn't like I wouldn't be wasting her for the season, and I'm still getting the animals out of her. But then at the same time, my main male for her is blackhead chocolate combo. So the stacked male that I have, the really stacked male. So when I breed him to her, anything from him will be blackhead or chocolate combo, and anything that is retained sperm will be clown or krypton and cypress. So I'll be able to tell if it's a dual sired clutch like that, and I won't have to
Yeah.
guess.
So you
So
I
have the
think that's
allelic.
important. You know, if you're setting up dual sided pairings, try to set it up to where you don't have to guess the next season.
yeah.
Right, right. Know which one it was. You have the allelic male, you said? The chocolate
Yeah,
blackhead?
he's blackhead, chocolate, black pastel, leopard, redhead, triple het, hypo DG clown.
Jesus. Okay. What the heck does that end up looking like? Is
Uh,
he around?
I mean, he's beautiful in his own right. I think that a lot of people would compare him to like some other morphs that are a little bit easier to make for that visual expression. He takes it up maybe a little bit higher of a level, but maybe he shed already. He wasn't shed, but um, I don't think he's gonna blow you away. But I think genetically, what he can produce is
Oh yeah.
incredible. You know,
If he
and
looks even remotely nice, the gene stack is so worth it.
but the
Like,
double visual, like Miguel hit his double visual, which was the hypo clown version of him, and it's like one of my favorite snakes from last year. So
okay.
yeah, that was a hypo clown, blackhead, black pastel leopard, chocolate redhead.
So that came out of Always Evolving over there?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it,
Okay.
it was a clutch
Yeah,
mate for
that's a
that
stacked
female.
male. Holy shit.
Let me put her back and I'll pull him out.
Just having the allelic blackhead chocolate going into things is so nice because
Yeah.
either way, it's a great result.
I've set up the variety of his projects to where, you know, some females will have spot nose, some females will have redhead to go for supers. And then, you know, other allelic complexes, like some of my females are chocolate to go for blackhead chocolate or super chocolate combos of hypo DG or DG clown or hypo clown. So I've set up different avenues because, you know, triples with combinations of codoms are super expensive. Even, I mean, you know, they're not available. So, you know, the
Yeah.
market is limited on them and no one really wants to get rid of a four gene triple het female, not as much as some, you know, single gene het female or a double gene het female, you know, that doesn't really push a project forward that they might already be further in. So
Right.
finding the availability for those animals was harder. So I invested into like um 3, 2 single gene double hets or a single visual het with multiple codoms. So that way I could go for the better odds with the double visuals and then test for the odd hets. And obviously I want to get to a point where I don't have to test for odd hets. But I think that we're at a point in the industry that if you're not pushing your projects to test for the odd hits, you're not going to progress yourself 8 years ahead because you're
Absolutely.
going to take the time to put that in there 100%. It's going to take you 8 years longer
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
without just testing for the odd hits. And then you get lucky and you hit a double visual triple het. And it's like, wow, this animal is insane. You know, I can do a lot with this male or this female.
And it took us a year or two to come to the realization in how we purchased and held back to double recessives to go, look, we have a visual het girl on this side. We need to offset that with the male. We need to know that everything coming out of here is 100% het. And if you had that third one in there as a pos, not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to have those first two lockdown solid as these are 100% het, plus the chance it doubles regardless. But
Yeah.
to offset those in your sex is extremely important. And it didn't dawn on us in that first couple COVID years. We're just buying stuff we liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We weren't planning well, but
So one other way that I offset things like that, right, is just the genetic stacking, right? So I have a male that has no visual recessives. He's triple het, but he has 5 codoms. So when I
Right.
breed him to a female chocolate double het desert ghost clown, the odds of me hitting a visual clown or a visual desert ghost or a double visual actually increases, and it doesn't increase, I should say. The chances of hitting one of those becomes greater just because of the number of animals that you could produce in that pairing with that single gene clown or that single gene desert ghost. So you hit a lot of those more of those middle ground animals, and if you do it by a deduction of genetics, you have technically 8 on the male side with 5 codoms and 3 hets, and then on the female side you have 3. So you have a total of 11, so say 10. So on average your babies should have 5 of those genetics. And
Exactly. Yeah.
if the average possibilities of them having 2 of those genetics as double het, double stacking hets to make a homozygous, your odds are a lot more likely. So I'm hoping to really produce, doubles that carry the extra het that are, bangers. But even those lower animals, those lower genetically stacked animals are going to be super powerful because if they test out for the hets that would be 66% obviously, which it's not the best setup, but if you want to try to really give yourself a variety of offspring and just have fun with it, but still produce some valuable animals with valuable genetics, it's a fun way to go about it. And not all of my planned pairings with that male are like that, but some of them are because the odds are just there for numbers of genetics. So I do have like visual hypo het clowns with codoms. Like I have a pastel black het red gene ringer gene hypo het clown. So that'll give me 1 and 2 odds for hypo and 1 and 4 odds for clown. And then I'll have 1 and 8 for double visuals just on those alone. And then, but now you have to take in all the other genetics that are still in play. So
Well,
it
the
lowers those chances, obviously, but you have such a widespread again to hit the double visual with other codoms. It's just, I feel like if you miss, you're missing because your odds are so good on those lower animals, because the odds to hit those are the same as the odds to hit something on the best animal in the clutch.
and the plus side of that too that we don't really, I don't know if we don't talk about, but isn't really mentioned all that often is the oops animal that looks fantastic. Something
Mhm.
in that combination that you haven't seen together falls out of that pairing, and you go, I don't know why no one has attempted to put this together before, right? Because you're
Yeah.
talking about enough different codoms that certain combinations truly haven't been put together. And you could get that oops animal that really opens a brand new path for you simply by trying what you're doing there.
Yeah, and we see a lot of like super with recessive, but we don't see a lot of super with codom stacking with recessive. And that's really
Exactly.
where I'm progressing my projects is, you can go for the triple and the quad recessive visuals, but it's going to take you the same amount of time, practically the same amount of time. You have lower odds with more genetics in the pairing, but if you get those genetics in your pairings before you go for those visuals and you
Yes.
set yourself up in certain projects,
Crucial.
like I have a few double visual hets, so I have better odds for triples. I have, my hypo quad het and a female that's hypo double het, so I'm guaranteeing hypo and I'm shortening my odds on a triple down to 1 in 16 in that pairing. So like you can always set yourself up with the right male and different females for different odds.
Right. Yep, exactly. And to go back and work those in, like you said, you're just tripling your time
Oh,
again. You've got to go
yeah.
back each step, get it back into that recessive. It's like bring it
Mhm.
with you, bring that luggage with you so that
Yeah.
when the train hits, it's full, you know?
hmm You have better
So
odds.
yeah,
At least you're giving yourself the chance of hitting that full train, of genetics.
yep,
Yep.
absolutely. For sure.
And
Makes
if
100% sense.
anything, you're gonna hit pieces of the full pie. and those are going
Right.
to help you get closer to that. And then once you start hitting those stacks that, oh, well, I didn't know that was going to look like that. I wonder what this is going to do with it.
Exactly. I think that has happened more than we talk about simply because of that method of putting things together. Like Canova over there, when he has a 5 codom recessive and 5 opposite codoms, same recessive, and he pairs those, he's getting all kinds of wild results that he wouldn't have shot for. He wouldn't have
Yeah.
taken that one gene and that one gene and tried that, but he's seeing the result and going, holy crap, that thing looks amazing. Now I'll shoot for that. Now I'll put more stuff with that. But that's kind of how that's occurring, I think, to some degree, because some of those interactions you would never guess. Look at the highways and freeways and all of that complex. Would you ever guess that 2 codoms would look like that?
Mm-mm.
Visually, they look so different than either or. You couldn't guess that outcome. Had to be purely accidental in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think there's more to be said for that than credit is given. I think there's a lot of oops animals that look fantastic, and people are like, "Oh shit, I didn't realize it would look that great," you know. So
Yeah, I've seen one of those. I don't know if it wasn't necessarily an oops animal, but I think it was Jeremy Boud that had it at a show recently, and it was like a black pastel Mojave, Cypress Huffman or something. I don't remember the genetics exactly, but it was somewhere in those genetics. And I mean, I had seen a picture, I think, online before I saw it in person, but once I saw it in person, I was like really like, wow, this thing is crazy different because you talk about static, bro. Like I know you like your
yeah,
static. I'll send you the pictures that I took when I find them. So the whole side of the snake was just this silver static, and it was the most beautiful thing because it was like that Mojave silver, but it was all static, and then it had the difference in layers where it was like the black, and then like the I can't remember exactly, but it was like that rusty color from like the Mojave on top. It was
right.
just a really crazy combo. I'll send you the picture of it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. We ran
Now,
into him. Now, was this Daytona? He had this animal
hmm,
this last Daytona, or no? Was
no,
this
it might have
Tinley?
been like an Orlando show or Tampa show.
Okay, gotcha. Because I don't recall seeing that particular one. He had the one that looked real. I want to say almost tornado. Kind of had
Oh,
that
okay.
weird
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
going on in it.
Hmm. Yeah,
But I didn't catch that static snake. I'd be curious to see that for sure. If you got
yeah.
pictures, definitely
It's
send
a
them.
wild interaction. I was like, man, I like that, and I told myself I have to remember those genetics, and look how good I did.
Right? It always seems the way that goes.
Just to see
So
if
yeah,
I
we're
can. Because what it didn't have was any kind of structured pattern throughout the static. So if you can get like some ghostly structure throughout the static, that would be wild. Almost
Yeah,
like
that'll be cool.
hieroglyphics or something.
set it off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like put it into a puzzle or something.
Almost like, the hand stretching through the wall, like that kind of effect through the static.
Oh,
That
that'd
would
be
be kind of
badass.
cool, where it's like a silhouette pattern or something. I think
Yeah.
GHI would be needed.
Oh,
I didn't
Yeah,
say
it
that.
it
love
could,
it.
right? Shh. Got to keep some of those gems.
Well, we know GHI gives you those silhouettes and that ghostly side pattern, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely pulls those in. Well, we're about winding down. I think we're a little over the hour and a half mark. I do want to touch on one other thing, if I could, with you. The biggest influences to you coming back when you did decide you're going to pull this stuff in, you're going to start a collection, you're going to start breeding ball pythons specifically toward a purpose. Who were your biggest influences out there? What kind of groups were you looking at and I don't want to say emulating, but drawing from for inspiration?
Um, Well, besides, watching breeders and well-known names and everything like that, because that's just something I do naturally, is keeping up with the times and keeping up with what's coming out. I really owe a lot of it to these podcast networks, and the Whiskey Bomb Network, because I was just a member of that group from Hair Down Fridays and getting on the panel, and that's what really branched me out into being more comfortable in front of the camera and just trying to share my knowledge with everybody. And yeah, I take a lot of appreciation into what you guys do, and especially what everyone has done to help me with everything. As far as I mean, I've gained a lot of relationships from this, and a lot of friendships that we all try to help each other in whatever ways we can. And I see that even between networks. And I just think that the times have changed as far as people having their own little like circles. Like we might have our own little network, but we're trying to share it with the world, and we're trying to share it with other people. And we love when other people take ideas from us, and because that just shows how well we're doing. So I don't
Sure.
know if anyone's done that or anything. I'm not saying that by any means, but if anyone ever did take any ideas, like I would see that as like, wow, I must have did something right, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
But
working, and they found it valuable.
yeah,
So yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, I appreciate everybody that's really been involved in getting us all out there more, you know. I don't know where it sparked, but all this podcasting, it was new to me. After I started buying animals and really just like, I'll go on YouTube more and kind of branch out and just search like generic searches like, oh, ball python morphs or something just to see what pops up. And then podcasts. And then you just start seeing all these people who are having fun. And I'm like, I want to be a part of this fun, you know? And
Yeah, for sure.
that's all we're really here to do, right? I mean, we're all here to
Yeah,
just have
100%.
fun, have a passion about what we enjoy, which is the same thing.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. I dig that. I dig that. Well, now's the time of the show where Jamie, her lucky job back there, the entire show, and she's coming out with us. She
Yeah.
gets to try to pull one question from all of that we talked about tonight, throw it up for the audience that's hanging around and has watched this, or a good portion of it, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll start another rant. Don't worry.
And give them a chance and give them
Run
a
off
chance to
topic.
make some forge coin. Nah, the rants are all good. It's good to have a guest that does want to talk and they have some things to get out there. Helps us too.
Absolutely.
So
I
it's
gotta
been
get
awesome.
better though. It's like I just get off topic when I'm ranting.
Nah, you did
It's all
good.
good. Nah, you did totally fine. It was fun, man. So what'd you come up with, Jamie, out of all of that
Alright.
stuff we talked about?
Tonight's trivia question is: after college, what was Jared's occupation? First person to get it correct in the comments gets $10 forge coin.
First person that gets it wrong owes me $10.
Yeah, that too.
No, I'm just kidding.
First wrong answer owes Jared. Oh, that's good.
Do you accept forge coin, Jared?
Yes, no, I'm just playing around. But forge coin is valuable. Of course, I would accept that.
It's getting
Yeah.
there. It's buck for buck. Yeah.
So this is
Holy.
kind of a long.
I think that's
Is
good
that
enough. Would you say that's good enough? You're the answer man, Jared.
He was
Are you
just
giving
trying
it
to
to him?
type fast enough. I would give it to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Okay. Congrats, Vance. Jared was an electrician
Man,
after college.
it's a good thing he cut it off at electric.
Sometimes you gotta, shorten your answer just to make it like, bam.
Yeah, because
Missy
people were
was
right
hot
on
on
his
his tail
heels.
there.
I would have put electric.
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 Just leave off the E and everything.
That's funny.
But yeah, so that's $10 in your pocket, Vance. I think you're stacking some coin up over there. But
Yeah.
that's just fun for us, and it does give people a little kind of a kickback. And this affiliate deal is something new. We didn't really know that's the way it was going to go. I kind of had a brain fart when we were out doing something else, and I'm like, why wouldn't we try to spend this with more of the community? You know, like let them get things from other people in the community with what they're winning here, not just have to be stuck in our little T-shirts, hats, snakes, whatever. Let them spend it with other people. Of course, we'll level that playing field out on the back side so nobody has to worry about it. But I think it's an interesting way to do it. So
Vance is up
Oh.
to $40.
$40 he's got over there.
Yeah.
Real
God, he
real
could
quick
get a-
on Vance here too.
I think he
Yes.
just
Everybody saw
comes to
this.
win more Forge coin.
Right.
He listens very attentively. He's like, I'm winning again.
All right. He's got his notebook out.
Who's at the
jotting it
top?
down.
Taking notes.
It's a good question. Who is at the top, Jamie?
Somebody's at 50, right?
Merlin is holding $60 right now.
60.
Whoa.
I think he
Nice.
plans on using it towards a snake, though. He's mentioned.
Yeah, he's going
a
to take our
couple
top snake, our prize snake, with that.
times.
Yeah. That's $20 over its current value.
What happens when you hold everything back?
Right.
Yep.
That's the problem we're having. The racks are getting over flooded with stuff we need to hit our odds next year. So.
You're like, yeah, my most valuable snake available is this male double het, and he's only worth 90 now.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
That's the problem. They are values just tanking on a lot of that stuff. That double hets were $400 or $500 a year ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
God's sakes.
But you know what? It's a good time to focus on your collection right now. Ride through it because it's going to go back up, and now is the perfect time. Just don't concentrate on trying to make stuff.
You
to sell.
gotta let that
Concentrate on
lower
moving forward.
market. You gotta let that lower market grow too. Because
Yep.
as
Exactly.
we get into a more stacked market, and that lower market's gonna grow, and they're gonna get more animals to play with in the lower end, and the tiers kind of shift, and I think that brings more people in though, because they're like, oh well, I used to only be able to afford, this snake with that het, but now I can afford this snake with 3 hets and a male, and then go get a female with a het that's a visual for pretty cheap, and it just gives different available options that really entices people to get back in, even if they got out because they weren't making a good enough impact or whatever it was. Now they can get in and make a better impact and get excited again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We just want to see that base reptile keeper percentage climb. I mean, that's sitting at 16% of the population. We'd like to see that up around 28-30% of the population has a reptile pet of some sort. I mean, that would do a world of good.
Statistics should, I feel like they are that. People just, some people are in the closet
don't report
about
it.
Right. It might be.
You can't tell my landlord.
Yeah, that could be for sure.
God, I don't feel like that's the case. It seems like I run into more people just in general that think it's odd than I do that are like, yeah, I got one of these. Do you know what I mean?
But how do they draw that statistic, right? Like, I never had someone come into like my door with a reptile census. Like,
right?
Hey, do you own a reptile? No.
Absolutely not.
I think you can do it by just base population numbers and how many people they can track actual sales to and get fairly close. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're definitely not door knocking for reptile keeping. Oh, and by the way, vote for Trump. Throw that in on the end. But yeah, it was an awesome show, Jared. Appreciate you as always. Super knowledgeable guy. It's always fun. We're always going to get a chuckle. It was awesome to hang out with you in Daytona. We had a blast down there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you did too.
Yeah.
At least from what we could tell. So it was a good weekend, man. We'll have to get together again in that kind of a scenario. But even in the Discord, hanging out and just BSing with me, going through genes. You and I have sat for a fair amount of time and just talked over different clutches and what do you see here?
Your
what do you
secret
see there?
projects, I know.
Yeah, some of the stuff I don't show anybody else. Just go, what do you think of this? What are your thoughts? But so it's awesome to have you on that side of the fence, man. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yeah, keep an eye on John. That's all I gotta say.
Look out for that shyster.
Well, they're probably all, they're all a group. Keep an eye on all of them.
Yeah. So that's it, guys. We're going to wrap her up and let everybody do their thing on the East Coast. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Congrats, Vance, on the $10. Next week, like Jamie kind of briefly announced, we are not doing a show. Hits right in the middle of Christmas. Too much stuff going on. We're not going to be around, but we will be back in the following week with another panel show. Those are always fun. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, kind of a year-end roundup and then plans for next year with each of those guys on the panel. So
Yep.
we'll put the stuff up for that. Keep your chins up, guys. Go support US Arc too. We don't say that enough. And US Arc Florida. We're
Hit that
members.
like
We
and
always have
subscribe
been.
button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
subscribe.
Hit the
Jared.
subscribe button. And vote
Definitely
for 15
subscribe.
Minutes of Lame contestants.
Yes.
Next time, drop them super chats.
Yeah.
We got to get the subs up to accept those, but
Yep.
yeah, appreciate it, guys. Jared, thank you again. Hang out for a little bit, but everyone else out there, peace out. Have a good week.
Have a good night. Thanks for watching, everybody.